Hey everybody, welcome to episode 14 of the Combat Chain podcast. I'm your host, Adam Philipchuk, alongside Pat Shaw, and today we've got another very special guest with us. He has been involved with the Kitchen Table TCG team. He was actually the founder of the Fab Competitive Hub, and he's also the commissioner of the Fab Team League. May I introduce Tyler Broaden?
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Welcome to the pod, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, before we make Tyler give us the his full origin story here, Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I haven't been playing as much in armory events and things like that lately. Been rediversifying my time, putting more time into the podcast and putting more time into just quality testing and I guess actually I haven't even had a chance to talk about this part since everything's kind of happened so quickly, but I do have a team in the team league, Team West Coast, Best Coast, and I somehow managed to be appointed the captain for the team. Still trying to understand how that happened, but I'm enjoying the challenge.
You're a celebrity, that's why. You're one half of the Combat Chain podcast.
You know what, though? With some of the names we have on the team, I feel like I am but a mere nobody amongst giants in some ways. But yeah, so between podcast and my own competitive endeavors, it's getting harder and harder to get out to the casual events, which is, on the one end, it's good to be focusing on the right things, but on the other end, I've got friends that I miss seeing, and there's a community that's been developed there too. So it's bittersweet. But
it does seem like there's a bit of a common thread between everyone who is getting ready specifically for the Pro Tour, that their usual little XP grind seems to be dropping off in favor of quality matches internally, and only coming out if they know that they're going to have some productive CC matches coming out. There seems to be a huge contingent of Pro Tour qualified people that also have skipped skirmish season. There's not actually a ton of blitz happening at the highest levels these days. So kind of wonky timing with that. But I suppose it does open the door a little bit for some of that casual player base to come in. There's always going to be some top tier guys at these skirmishes there, but I've just noticed in our circles here, it does seem like there's definitely a concentration on that quality over quantity matchup, that stuff that's happening there.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm sure as the game progresses and develops, that you're going to see more of a delineation between the pro scene and the casual scene, because there's going to be enough pro events happening throughout the year that the pros can focus on those. Meanwhile, the casuals will play, the skirmishes and the pro quests and those things. And I think probably that's part of what LSS intends to see in the later phases of this game, is to see that delineation happen and allow the skirmishes to remain a little more casual. It'd be that top end tier 1 event, but not come with the same level of pressure that Pro Tour comes with. I think there's definitely something there where pro quests from here on out will probably have less. I mean, they're already ProQuest Season 2 is already looking like it's going to have significantly less prize support going into it. So I think there's definitely a little less incentive from the people who already have, ELO and PTIs and things of that nature coming into the next, into that next Pro Tour. Yeah, and especially with Jersey being 64, is it because they do for tier 3 events. It's the modifier for elo is 32k, I think is the factor they use or something like that. I was just looking at this recently. And then for things like Pro Tour and Worlds, it's 64 instead. If somebody goes on a decent run at Jersey, like that is very possible that they can just shoot up the rankings. And I think there still will be some sort of qualification based invite system for France where my guess, I don't know if they're going to go to elo this time. I have a hard time seeing them do XP twice. I really don't know what they're going to do for this one, but I have a feeling they're going to do something. You're right.
I think you definitely there's definitely a mechanism. There has to be a mechanism in place after Pro Tour 1, right? Where the previous participants, as long as they've reached a high enough level, will be eligible for Pro Tour 2. Otherwise, you don't have a professional circuit, which I think is what they're trying to get at here. So I'm pretty. You'll probably see the top 64, 128, whatever the cutoff is, right? The day 2 makes Pro Tour 2 kind of deal. Maybe not that open, depending on what the numbers are, but there's going to be a cutoff point where you're going to invite everybody at a certain level over there, because that's going to be your professional pool, right?
Yeah,
like those are your guys that are going to be like your top tier pros at that point. So you got to move them at least into the next, give them an opportunity at least to get into the next Pro Tour so that they can continue on that journey.
Yeah. I think they're going to do something like that. It's just a matter of what. And I think we're going to find out pretty soon here, because they said when they announced France initially, they said that we should have all the details within the next couple weeks. So
yeah, right. Tyler, what do you think about having XP as a qualifier for the Pro Tour?
First of all, I've been grinding my butt off the past few months. Online armory events, in-person armory events, going to all the skirmishes I can. Because I knew that in my head, I knew that the first Pro Tour was going to be XP invites. So my goal was to be as high as I can in XP, so I can qualify through XP to the Pro Tour. And luckily my gamble paid off, and all that hard work paid off, because I was in the top 100 lifetime of XP. So I played ProQuest season not having to worry about if I could win or not, because I was already going to qualify. But I still don't think there's been enough events that have had ELO around the world for them to move on to ELO so fast. I'm expecting them to finish out the whole year with XP invites, and then move to ELO starting next year. And that means even like the first Worlds I expect to be XP invites as well. Just because there hasn't been opportunities for people around the world to earn ELO. And this year there are some, but there's not a whole lot. And so
you're telling me I have a chance?
Exactly. And maybe I'm just biased because I am in the top 100 and I want that to be the case, right? So I don't have to qualify, use a PTI to go to Worlds, but I think they keep it at XP throughout this year, and then next year they'll start rolling out ELO-based invites.
I do think that there is merit to an XP-based invite. There you have to give the people who grind an incentive to do so, and I don't think you can hold it against them. I do know that there is like a section of player out there that feels like it's somehow disrespectful or disingenuous to the game to maximize like their armory XP and grind these pro quests and skirmishes for the EV and the XP going into it. But it's really, if you have the opportunity to do it, that's what it's there for. Then there's always going to be a spectrum. We touched on this a few episodes ago, but XP is there. XP is what makes the competitive aspect of Flesh and Blood accessible to your player, to every player. If you can gain that XP, you have access to certain things, and it is one of the funnest times I've had playing Flesh and Blood was into like December into January. I got into the top 290 day and then the top 150, and then I was I wanted to grind, and just seeing my numbers go up closer and closer to the top 100 was incentive enough. And at the time, everyone was like, why are you even bothering with your XP? There's nothing to work on here. And then bam, they're like, hey, by the way, Pro Tour is XP based. It's like, aha. Yeah. But it was even before that. It was, it's fun to see that, knowing that, I know they did like Road to Nationals and a few other high level events where that XP matters. So it's always, if they keep that relevant, it doesn't have to be, I don't know. I think XP based, it may be lifetime XP, but so something as high scale as like World Championship, I might have, that I imagine they'll do something like Magic where it ends up being like a small group invite only Pro Tour, top 8 Pro Tour of X, Y, and Z, and you have like a 24 or 32 player pool or something like that, and then all of a sudden, and then they're playing a Wraith block constructed blitz in CC and Alpha Draft or some sure. crap like that to get into in the World Championship finals is some chaos thing. They're going to do something like that, I'm sure. All right, we have gone the longest intro in the history of the pod. We fell off the rails. I got to get the record crew in here to bring it back onto the rails. We're going to talk about the news. We have some hot news items this week. I think the big one, well, not necessarily the biggest one, but we have a spoiler. We have the Jarenthia specialization card spoiled. It is Glistening Steelblade. It is a Jarenthia specialization. So Glistening Steelblade is a 1-cost yellow pitch majestic Jarenthia specialization. Says your next Dawnblade attack this turn has Go Again. Whenever Dawnblade hits a hero this turn, put a +1 attack counter on it. Go Again. It blocks for 3. It's a warrior action. This is already causing a little controversy in talking circles. I don't know why, but apparently you're not supposed to have playable cards in pre-constructed decks. I like it. I know that.
I think it's good.
A card that's exclusive to pre-constructed decks. I mean, people are gonna have to buy the decks, break them open just to sell the card, and get their hands on a card. But I don't know. I like it too. My take on it is that I'm not so sure it's as good as everyone's thinking it is. Just because it doesn't buff the weapon initially, and without doing that, it's gonna be easier to block out the Dawnblade that turn. And avoid those counters to go on. But pair that with Iron Song Determination.
That's where my mind went. Yep.
Yeah.
I've
seen people talk about that and Twinning Blade for a ceiling of, I would believe there's like a 3 counter ceiling for that. Kind of forces the blocks to happen, takes cards out of hand no matter what, even if you're not getting the payoff or the on-hit effect, you're still stripping your opponent's hand.
Yeah. That's just with the current Dawnblade Dory build. I mean, we don't know what this new Dawnblade's gonna say either, so it could be really good with that as well, because in this Dawnblade, in the previous Dawnblade build, the counters will go away if it doesn't hit. So we'll see if they're allowed to stick around with the new sword.
Yeah.
I think because the new Dory is tied to the new Dawnblade, I wouldn't be shocked if the new Dawnblade's also tied to specifically the new Dory. But I'm not 100% yet. I think Dawnblade Resplendent will specifically refer to, I forget what her name is, this Jarenthia that's coming in the classic battles.
Jarenthia Glistening Resplendent? Quicksilver or something like that.
Yeah, I
don't have it right in front of me.
But I do think I liken this to Magic's Commander precons. I think LSS has a good model base here where their classic battles can be ways to introduce cards into the pool and expand archetypes and introduce new heroes through these classic battles. I think they have something there. And it's not unheard of to have these cards that are perhaps unique to the pre-constructed decks, and maybe you're probably, I think, likely, if this is an auto include in Dory CC and she becomes tier 1, you're probably going to want to get your hands on a playset of them. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the price on these are. I feel like Majestics, especially non-foil Majestics, don't hold a ton of value. So unless there's something crazy, I'm sure the MSRP of the classic battles will probably hold steady, and the individual cards will be slightly less. I'm definitely not spending $150 for a play set of these. I'm probably going to get 2 boxes anyways, one to hold on to and one to...
It'll probably come with 2 cards anyway.
I would really love it if it came with 2. I think that would be great.
Looking at the Jarenthia, it says the first time Dawnblade Resplendent gains go again each turn, you may attack an additional time with it this turn. So playing this card lets you attack twice with the new Dawnblade no matter what.
That's some spice. That's definitely some spice.
So it's a built-in twinning blade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it definitely makes the ability to swing and attack easier than your normal your classic Dory Dawnblade combination. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think she'll have a place in Blitz no matter what. It's very interesting to see what they do with Rhinar. I think there's give me a blue 6 attack for Rhinar. I don't know about that, but I'll take a blue 6 attack and go from there. All right, so on top of that, we do have a Pro Tour, and calling registration has officially opened up for the events in New Jersey. And this is a reminder to all you Pro Tour eligible competitors out there. You do need to register for the Pro Tour. You are not just in. Go to the website at Channel Fireball and register. Otherwise, you are not included on there. If you do not register, you will not be counted as one of the competitors. So you will fly down or drive or boat, however you're getting to New Jersey. If you just show up from the ferry, crossing the channel, you will not find your slot at the Pro Tour. You'll have to sign up for the calling for the next day, and that'll be super sad for you. But included with the Pro Tour registration is a brand new cold foil promo. It is Yorick, Weaver of Tales,
the Bard. We finally see him.
This is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a huge fan of this, but I'm glad that there's a Bard card out there.
I think this is. I'm so excited. Like,
I love it.
I couldn't be more excited.
This is terrible.
This is the first time I've ever wanted to play UPF. I'll be honest.
It is. This is
an announcement that it is banned in Blitz.
Oh, and I want to bring this to Blitz Night so badly.
I'll scoop. This is what I'll do. All right, Yorick, Weaver of Tales is a young bard hero. At the start of the game, all heroes shuffle their starting decks together. All heroes share the same deck and graveyard this game. This is my worst social nightmare come true. You have to touch my cards. You get to shuffle them. You get to even play with them. This is why I left Commander. This is why I left Magic for this stuff. Nope. I'm good. You guys like it?
I can't wait to just have the one communal deck in the middle. It's like four pop cans tall, and you're playing Jenga every time you have to try to draw one off the top, or
four different kinds of sleeves. Everyone knows what's happening. It's just a nightmare.
Because they haven't really addressed, there's nothing on Yorick that says that a ranger can play a ninja card all of a sudden. So, is that just all of a sudden you draw and it's a dead card, and can you block with it at least?
Yeah, let's all have fun with the dead cards in our hand. You're not selling me on this.
So, just because you can't play it, can you pitch it or can you defend with it at least? Because if you can do those things, you can still do a lot with the card and wait till you just draw someone else's Command and Conquer, and you're like, neener.
There should be there should be a strict rule where there's one Yorick and 3 Cheyennas, and that's it.
So, thinking about the rules, Yorick's ability says at the start of the game, whereas, so that would be like after you've done the hero reveal and everything, sideboard and all that. But I think the rule for cards that are not your hero's type in the deck only apply when you first like get into the game. Like I think that happens before. So then, at the start of your game, your deck goes to the middle, and your deck now you don't have to abide by the rules anymore because you brought your legal deck to the game, and now your deck becomes something else after that initial rule has passed.
Interesting.
All right.
So I now can head jab as Jarenthia.
Yeah, so the only problem is that Yorick's going to have to be a generic only deck right now. So,
yeah.
but like, what if you use it in like a ultimate pit fight scene, and all Yorick has is like defense reactions or something? That means all the other players can bring in all of their class cards, the best ones, and don't have to worry about building decks traditionally anymore.
Oh, I think it's gonna be so much fun.
It's gonna be great.
I think it's gonna be terrible. This is like if all 4 players played oh god, what is that? What's the possibility card in Magic that makes everyone exile? You play a spell, you exile it, and then you reveal the top card of your library, and then everyone has to do that, and it's just this big janky mess. That's what this is. This is a big janky mess.
At least the art's cool on it, though.
The art is cool. He needs a loot weapon. That's what he needs.
Is
Talishar not good enough for you?
No, it's not.
Talishar should have at least been like a 1 resource swing.
Yeah.
1 for 4, you lose it after 3 swings.
We save those for Runeblade weapons with mixed damage.
Yeah.
For little opportunity cost. Thank you very much. All right. on top of Yorick and the registration, I re-emphasize that you need to register for the Pro Tour, you Pro Tour competitors. We also recently got information about potential callings and events happening in Europe, specifically for LSS states. For our fans in the UK, we're going to be crossing the channel at the end of the year for one last calling to close out 2022. So we have some exciting things in the forecast here. It does seem like they keep adding on. I do
30 callings this year.
That's what they said. It's March. It's coming into April. Not on track for 30 callings. I still want one because how many have we had? 3, 2, 1.
But we've had 1 so far, but we've had 2,
1 in 22. 3,
4, 5 announced now, technically 6 announced now.
Yeah, I don't know. You really got to backload that calendar if you're going to make 30 in 2022.
But they've also demonstrated.
I'm rooting for it.
I'm rooting for it too. But they've also demonstrated that they're not going to like announce them all up front. Like it is going to be a trickle throughout the year, I think. And I think I trust LSS to make up to their 30.
I think what they really need to do is just get a little more ahead of it than they were. If they're really jam-packing this schedule, then people need to know what they can and what they do have to travel for, what they don't have to travel for. Make educated choices on where they're going to go and what they're going to do, because you still have, right? So you're in the middle of skirmish season. You're in a Pro Tour. You have ProQuest Season 2. Presumably, you have Road to National Season after that, right? And then, who knows? They usually end the year on another skirmish season. There's a lot going on there. If Worlds finds a way in there, if they find another Pro Tour before the end of the year, and then they have all those callings, put it on a calendar. Let people know where you can go and how you can get there. Before it gets too late. I don't like that battle. I feel like the last 2 Battle Hardens, the Battle Hardens Leeds, and I believe there's one in, is it Dallas? but there were two like short notice like high profile events that were coming out that really like, you know, just give them a little more time. You know, perhaps people would have made other choices on where they were, you know, what they were doing, where they were going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is still, I think, an inaugural year in a lot of ways too. Like this year, because this is going to be our first year where pretty much there's no restrictions and there's less global shenanigans going on. I won't get into that. I think this is kind of the year where they're able to do things, and this year sets the precedent for future years now. Like, so we still have a lot of unknowns to experience at this point, but moving forward, we'll be able to predict things a lot better based off of what we've seen this year.
Absolutely. All right.
Yep.
I think that does it for the news. So now we're gonna bring it back around to our main topic and our main protagonist of this week's story. We're gonna be bringing. So you've heard his voice here and there as we've just rambled and
done what we do best
into the woods. Yep. Just down the less trodden path on our way to the main topic. But we do have Tyler Brotton with us. He is, as was stated, the commissioner of the Fab Team League and the main admin for the Competitive Hub Facebook page. Tyler Brotton, welcome to the podcast. Tell us.
Thank you very much.
Tell us who you are and how the heck you got here.
Yeah, my name is Tyler Broaden. As has been said, yeah, I started playing Flesh and Blood a little over a year ago, and it started off into Magic during COVID a little bit. Me and my roommate at the time, and we're having fun building decks. And we're getting to a point where we're getting kind of burned out with Magic. Commander just wasn't as fun anymore because we were taking it a little too competitively. And I heard about this game called Flesh and Blood. This was probably last January, February. During that time, I'd also gotten into buying and selling Magic collections as a side hustle as well. So I took all my bulk into one of the local stores around here. They gave me a couple $100 in credit, and they had one box of Flesh and Blood Welcome to Wraith left on their shelves, because back then you couldn't get unlimited. It was very hard to get. And so I got it with my store credit, took it home. I said, hey, Hasiel, he was my roommate, he's on Team Kitchen Fable with me. I said, hey, I got this booster box of Flesh and Blood. You want to try it with me? He's like, oh, I've heard about the game too. I've been wanting to play. Let's do it. So we opened the box. We made 4 decks, blitz decks of each hero. They were not very good, but we had a blast, man. We played all night. We immediately bought a few more boxes online just to get more cards, to play the game, and we just fell in love with the game. It was just unlike anything we had ever played before. From there, I got into online play. I found Kitchen Table TCG Discord server where they were having events, and then there was one local store around me. I live in the Raleigh-Durham metro area in North Carolina, and we have a lot of stores, but only one was starting up Flesh and Blood, and they were starting up armory events just at the right time that I got in. And so we started going to those, found a little play group around here. Just been playing ever since, but been grinding a lot online, trying to get XP ever since then, and seems like it's paying off now because they're getting invited to bigger tournaments with that. And so back in May, Monarch had just come out, and they just announced, I think they had a skirmish season coming up, and then they had Road to Nationals, and I was trying to learn more about the competitive side of the game, and there wasn't a whole lot of content out there for the competitive games. I saw that they just announced Vegas Calling, and everything, the competitive scene was just really new, and there was really only 1 or 2 even YouTube channels made and dedicated for the competitive aspect of the game. And I was like looking on the Facebook groups, and I was looking at the fan page, which is the biggest Flesh and Blood group, and all I was seeing was like art posts and box openings and like stuff I didn't really care about because I wanted to learn how to be competitive in the game. And so I created this Flesh and Blood competitive hub Facebook group because I saw a need for it. I wanted to learn more about the competitive aspect of the game, and I wanted to give people a place to talk about it. And so I just quickly set up this group and put a bunch of people in it that I had met, and then I started sending the link to players who were finishing. I think at that time there was, I think, nationals for Australia or something. Well, there was a pro quest or something was in Australia, and I sent a message to the people who top aided, said, hey, can you post your deck list in my group? And then anytime I would see a post on the fan page that was competitive in nature, I would link my group and say, hey, can you post this in this group? We're trying to get competitive content here. And so ever since then, people just started jumping in that group and inviting their friends, and it's just grown since then. It's been great to see.
It just hit a milestone, correct?
Yeah, we're at 4,400 members, which makes it in the top 5 of Flesh and Blood groups on Facebook. Like 2 or 3 of those groups being marketplace groups, and so really it's number 2 when you're just talking about the game itself and not trying to buy or sell. So it's been pretty cool to see, and it's been user created. You know, like I post a lot in there, but I also see a lot of people posting themselves. The community has really taken ownership of it, and they have adopted this group to, like, this is where they talk about the competitive hub, and this is like where they talk about the news and stuff that comes out, and this is where they get their deck lists. And originally we made it like it was just a public group, no rules or anything, just like whatever people want to talk about related to the competitive scene. So since then, we've added some rules, made some more direction and focus for what we want the group to be. And yeah, people just like, it's like their group that they go to. So I remember playing online in an armory event in Europe, and I played this guy in Poland, I think. And after the game, he said, "Hey, I recognize you from that Facebook group, and me and my play group in Poland, we love your group. We follow it religiously, and like we always go to it. So thank you for giving us a space that we can look at deck lists and like the competitive nature of the game." And he thanked me for it. So it's been really cool to see the public's reception on that group.
Yeah, it's definitely great. I think I know we're both also members of the group, and it is a fantastic resource. So thank you for providing that resource for us. You are also a member of Team Kitchen Fable, managed by Sean Biava.
Yep.
I
did it.
think the last time I tried that, I failed. And obviously affiliated with Kitchen Table TCG on their server. Why don't you talk about how the formation of that team took place and how you became a member?
Yeah, so this was last spring. A group of guys that kept playing on Louis' server, Kitchen Table TCG, got together and said, hey, we should create a competitive team, or we should at least create a team of people that want to be more serious about the game, to be able to play with and everything. And so they posted their tryouts in there, and this was right around the time where I was starting to get super serious and competitive about the game. And so they said, we have some tryouts coming up, come practice with the team, we have a couple tournaments. And so they had like 2 tournaments, and then they like made their cuts, or they had 2 rounds of cuts. And so this was actually their tournaments, their tryouts were right around the time where I was getting married. And so I did 1 blitz event with them, and I got second in the tournament and beat all their players except 1. And then I couldn't go to any more tryouts or practices or anything because I was getting married, I had my honeymoon. And so, fun fact, they actually cut me from the team originally. They had 12 spots, and they said I was number 13. And they just didn't see me play enough, which I understood because I'd only been to 1 tryout practice or tournament because I was super busy at that time. And then a couple months later, they had a spot open up. One of the guys had to drop out of the team and stop playing Flesh and Blood for life reasons, and they said instantly invited me. They said, "Hey, like we see you around, like we want you on our team," and so I joined from then on. So sometimes I give Sean a little grief. I'm like, "Hey man, remember that time you cut me from your team?" But it's all good, and I love being on the team. I love being on Team Kitchen Field specifically because the guys are just a wonderful group of people, and we're a decentralized team. So the benefits of that is we're all over the U.S. East Coast, West Coast, North and South. We have one guy in Canada as well. And it's really beneficial because we can report to the team what we're seeing in our local metas. And instead of all playing in one city at one local game store, we get to see a diverse set of regions. And so we get info from everywhere. And we're able to bring it back to the team to talk about and work on. And so it's been really cool being a part of that team as well, and like seeing guys at tournaments constantly and just like creating friends online in the game. It's crazy.
Now, before we start diving into the team league stuff, you are quite a prolific collector of flesh and blood, if I'm not mistaken. If I recall correctly, you opened up a lot of Everfest boxes.
Yeah, I'm not as much of a collector as I am. I run a TCG player store.
Oh, okay. What's your store?
It's called Righteous Gaming. I've seen your name pop up a couple times, Patrick.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think I've bought plenty of cards from you.
See people pop up that I know and that I play with. Yeah, that's my side hustle. I buy and sell. I'm actually about to change professions and go manage a local game store. We're about to move. It's not quite public yet, so I'm not going to say the name of the store, but you all would know. Right. You all would know the store if I said it. So, but yeah, so I buy and sell a lot, and I do have. I'm not a huge I like to keep cards kind of guy. I don't really like to keep cards, except I have a full play set of every set, just because if I ever want to make a deck, I can just go pull it. But
right.
I do love selling cards to people because it's just you make connections that way, and especially on when Everfest came out, I opened up 120 boxes.
Holy.
Yep. I saw that.
My guys came over. My locals came over. We had a good night of it. They were all helping me open and sort, and gave them good deals on cards. But as I was uploading all of them to TCG Player, I could see which ones were selling the fastest, in my order queue. And I'm like, okay, I'm literally out of Prism stuff and I'm out of Runeblade stuff. Those are the two main things that went first. I'm like, okay, so now I know to get ready for the Prism and Runeblade meta, and then that's what happened week 1 of ProQuest. Starvo obviously, but there weren't a whole lot of cards in Everfest that Starvo actually used. And so, but yeah, I saw which cards were flying, and it's an advantage to me. Sometimes high level players buy from me on TCG Player, and I can see what they're buying. So
yeah, it's your own personal scouting report.
Exactly.
Excellent. Yeah, I definitely saw the Everfest box opening numbers on the marketplace sites, and I do know you also have a very extensive playmat collection for sale. I know you are the go-to playmat person from what I see.
My wife came up to me. She said, "How many playmats do you have?" And I counted, and I had over 30 of them, just from winning them, building them up, buying them in collections and stuff. She's like, "All right, let's get down to 8." And so I picked my 8 favorites, and the rest had to go. So it was a good time selling those as well.
What is your favorite playmat that you own?
What I'm most proud of is the Tunic playmat. My favorite one with the art is definitely the Gorganian Tome one. Just a beautiful card.
That's a good one.
That was one of the first mats I ever actually got, and I think that was the first mat that I got in a local game store as well. And so it holds a lot of memories for me.
All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're doing here. You are the commissioner of the Fab Competitive Team League. Now, we're getting into season 2 of the league here. How did it come about for season 1?
Yeah, so like the origin story for the Facebook group happened, I wanted our team to play against other teams. Like I wanted Team Kitchen Fable to play against the Hyperloops and the Card Guys and Fab Foundry, and I'm like, why isn't there this yet? And so I just created it because I wanted to see it happen. And so starting off with season 1, just thinking about how we wanted the format to go, I invited Davis Kingsley, tower number 9, to help me with it, and he graciously offered his help with that. And so we were kind of figuring out what we wanted the league to look like and set it up and everything. And so initially thought to bring in 6 teams because I was pretty well connected at that point. I knew a lot of the good teams. So for season 1, it was invite only. I reached out to the Hyperloops. I reached out to the Card Guys. The LGS team, which is in Dallas, Fab Foundry, and then Top Deck Keep, which had Tyler Horspool in it. So my goal was to get the highest finishers from like the first 3 to 4 callings, and nationals, and to get all those high players in the league to kind of test this league out. And so a lot of those guys, all those teams accepted to be part of the league because they wanted something similar. This is the first time like teams are going against each other. There's been 1 or 2 other instances of that, but they haven't been very successful. So we ran season 1 after nationals through the beginning of the year, during the off season when there really wasn't anything going on. We had a great season 1. Guys really took to it. They started producing content on their channels. And we had our finals night was Team Kitchen Fable versus the Hyperloops, and we scheduled all 5 of those matches in one night and had them back to back to back. Had one night out of it, and so that was really cool. We got a lot of viewers that just wanted to watch some high level play. So that's kind of how it came to be. And then so this season we opened it up to the public because season 1 was like a test run. There were a lot of kinks that came out of it. There were some rules that we hadn't thought about, and so as teams were playing, they're like, hey, like we should think about this, we should do this differently. And so a lot of the formation of the rules and of the format of the league was made during season 1, such as week 1 in season 1, we accidentally spoiled the heroes that people were playing, and teams did not like that because you knew what hero you were going against. And so we had I think we had a chain that was going against a Viscerai, and the Viscerai was like all generics and all defense reactions, and his whole goal was to block out Chain the whole time, and Chain just ran out of cards, and Viscerai was able to block him out. And it was not a very good experience for the players of that game because he built a deck specifically to beat Chain. And so, so there were a lot of kinks before we made it public to get out of the league. Yeah, season 2, I opened up applications. I was just gonna create one more division, welcome in 6 teams, but then we had like almost 17, 18 teams apply to be part of the league, and so it's like, well, we can add 2 divisions, and so we added 2 divisions, added another admin to the league, and we're running 3 divisions now, 6 teams in each division for a total of 18 teams, which is crazy to think that it's growing that fast. We also implemented a relegation promotion system, so if you win your league or get top 2 in your league, you get to move up to the next league up, and if you get in the bottom 2 of your league, you have to go down a league. And so that's going to help filter, Division 1 is going to be the best teams in the game, and the Division 3 is just going to be the teams that are trying to have fun and get better. So, but it gives everyone an opportunity to get to the top of the team league. So that's really exciting about it.
Is the division moving on a weekly or seasonal basis?
It's on a seasonal basis. And
okay. All right.
So there's six teams in division. You play a round robin format. There's 5 weeks.
Okay.
You play each team once. And depending on which division you're in, there's different rules for how you move up and down. Usually, if you finish first in the regular season, you get to automatically move up. And then second and third place get to play a finals week. And then the winner of that game gets to move up as well. But also, the 6th place team moves down, and then 4th and 5th play, and the loser has to move down a league. And so there's a little bit of drama for everyone in that.
What happens to bottom 2 of Division 3?
They get kicked out of the league. Just kidding. That's not right.
You gotta bring them down to the Rivals League.
If we do add in another 6 teams and create another division, they might be down to Division 4, and bring in some teams up to Division 3 who we think may be better suited for higher division to start off with.
So, how long is the regular season scheduled for?
We got 5 weeks of play. We're in week 1 right now. And then you have a finals week, which will be the championship game between the top 2 teams in Division 1. And then you will have week-long matches for promotion and relegation purposes, as well as see which teams are moving up and down. And so in Division 1, that's where you want to be. The top 2 teams play for the championship. The bottom 4 teams all play again, and the 2 losers get relegated. So there's a lot of high stakes in Division 1 on that last week. And Division 1 is going to be the week before, it's going to end the Sunday before the Pro Tour. And so we were able to squeeze the league in between ProQuest season and Pro Tour, which was good timing for us.
Now, before we start breaking down the individual teams here, do you have plans on running another season in 2022? Or is this going to be...
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of put the league wherever there's gaps in the Flesh and Blood calendar. And so we saw during skirmish season is considered a gap for a lot of the competitive players because there's a view that skirmish season isn't as competitive, nor does it take a lot of time to prepare for because of the variance in the decks. And so teams were... Every team I asked was really wanting to do it to get ready for the Pro Tour, to see what decks people are coming up with. And the beauty about this league is that you play 5 players each week. They schedule their own game against their opponent, so you only play 1 game a week. But your team is playing a 5-on-5 versus another team. But the interesting twist rule in the league is that each person on a team can only play 1 hero in a week. And so you're going to get 5 different heroes from each team. So it's not going to be a team of Starvos or a team of Prisms. It's going to be one team's going to have to choose 5 different heroes to play. And so you're going to get practice on a variety of decks, and you're going to get practice against a variety of decks as well. You have to be a well-rounded team that's good on a diverse range of heroes.
So we want to take a little look at the teams that are competing in Season 2 and have ourselves a little competitive team league primer coming into, we are in week 1 right now. So let's start with Division 1 of the team league and starting with the Team Kitchen Fable. Why don't we talk a little bit about Team Kitchen Fable, what they're bringing to the table here, so to speak, and some of the players to look out for.
So Team Kitchen Fable was the underdog team that could last year. We were coming into season 1 as the team probably the least amount of notable finishes out of all 6 teams. That's also because a lot of our players didn't travel to some of the bigger tournaments. And we ended up finishing 2nd last year in the team league, losing to the Hyperloops in the finals. And so we demonstrated that we could hold our own against some of those teams that had notable players with notable finishes. And we're really coming into it for season 2. We're excited to prove that we can stay in Division 1. And so, yeah, notable players, you got myself, obviously, but I don't actually play unless I absolutely need to, due to people not being able to play, just because I am the admin and I can, I control the league. And so if I beat someone really bad, I mean, they might think that there was some collusion there. So I don't play in the league. I pull myself out of it. But we have our most notable player is Heath Sheeman. He got 11th at nationals in U.S. And so, and then we have a lot of people with Pro Quest wins, Road to National wins. We have 4 guys that qualify to the Pro Tour. And so, yeah, we're excited to be in the league.
Excellent. Moving on to Team Foundry. Is that Team Fab Foundry?
Yeah, Team Fab Foundry. Yep. They're run out of a local game store in Portland, I believe. Their most notable player is Alberto Miracle. He was top 8 in Vegas, I believe. With Dash.
I recognize that. Yep. Yeah, he was the Dash player in Vegas.
Player. So, in that chain meta. So, and then they also have some high elo guys like Justin Salmon, Sam Yoon. And so, yeah, they can hold their own as well. They're a really solid team, and they have great guys. They have a playtest league that I'm a part of that they do as well. In their own Discord server. So, yeah, solid team overall.
Excellent. Now, moving on in the D1, we have Team Hometown TCG Ascent, content creators with their very successful YouTube channel. I know Hometown TCG teams up with Louis from Kitchen Table on a podcast. And, yeah, they do have some notable players there. I see, obviously, John Wood, part of the Hometown TCG fold. You don't see him too much on the content side these days. John Siatic.
Yeah, John Siatic, I think. Yeah, he was top 8 at U.S. Nationals.
Okay.
And top 16 in Vegas. You have Nick Zimmerman, who finished 2nd place in the calling in Dallas. And so this is a team that is actually the only new team to Division 1 this season, because we had one of our teams, the LGS team, drop out due to scheduling conflicts with their team. And so we put one team in Division 1, and so I chose Hometown TCG to put in that, just because they have some top 8s on the national scene. I think that they can compete with all the other teams out there. And Josh has just been hounding me for months to get his team in the league. So and he said that he could take it down. So I believed him. And they're in the league, or they're in Division 1. Right. So
looks like they got to put their money where their mouth is, huh?
Totally. They're the newcomers, and they got to prove that they can stay. So.
All right. Moving on in D1, we have the Card Guys. Very popular channel. I think the Card Guys might be one of the more well-known groups here in Flesh and Blood when it comes to competitive teams.
Yeah. So they have a solid team. They come from different games that they played before. They're based in the Atlanta area. They have Namvo, who won the calling in Cincinnati. Dallas, I believe. Yeah, Dallas.
The limited calling on Oldham.
Yeah, Michael won in Cincinnati. Yeah. Yep. Sebastian Cavallo, who got 2nd place in Vegas. Alex Sneed just got a top 8 at the Battle Hardened in Indy a couple weeks ago. Joshua Lau on their team, he won the MVP for season 1. He went 5-0 in his matches, the only player in season 1 to win all 5 of his matches, and doing it on like 3 or 4 different heroes too. It was crazy.
I remember him busting out he had a spicy Jarenthia deck last season that he busted out. That was very, very fun to watch.
That's the cool thing about the league is like this guy won with 3 different heroes and won 5 games. Like it just brings diversity of deck playing skill. And finally, Nathan Crawford on their team is their new guy to the team, but he got 10th in Indianapolis. He was the highest ranked Viserai player that weekend. So solid team that they got. They had an underwhelming season 1, and so they're looking to bounce back. And I think that they could take it all this year. I think they can be the Hyperloops.
Speaking of the Hyperloops, they are next. The Hyperloops they brought an army, and it looks like they are stacked. I see Cody Williams, who just made top 8 in calling Indianapolis on chain. Yeah. I see.
I think.
Yes, he does. Joe Colon, who top 8'd calling Vegas, and local nemesis to my play area. We have Michael Fang, who won the calling.
He won calling Cincinnati and got second at U.S. Nationals.
Yes, he did. We have Christian
Jonathan Magnuson, who got top 8, I think, in Orlando. For calling.
And Christian Franco, I believe, is a national champion.
French national champion.
I also see the incomparable Pheno Black is on the team, just coming off of his prolific run on Prism on the calling, losing to Michael Hamilton in the finals.
No. And Yongji Yang, who just won the Battle Hardened in Indianapolis as well.
That's right. That is. They have to be the boogeyman, right? That has to be the team. People are going to be like, crap, gonna face the Hyperloops.
Of course they are. I mean, they have 27 players on their team, and you never know who you're gonna face. Last season, I mean, Michael Fang could be arguably their best player, but he didn't play around with them until the finals. And he brought out a Dash deck, and no one was expecting him to play Dash. And so,
it really is like a who's who. I'm just looking at some of these names, and it's like I know or heard of every single one of these guys on there. That is intense. Rounding out Division 1, we have Team Top Deck Keep, highlighted by Tyler Horspool the winner of Calling Vegas.
Yeah, Tyler Horspool highlights that team. It's just him and a bunch of local guys in the southern LA area, and yeah, so that team. Also,
you hear that, Team Top Deck? We need to know who the hell the rest of you are. You gotta give Tyler some breathing room here.
Yeah, and so they were able to compete last year. The cool thing about last season is I think every team, I'm pretty sure, went at least 2-3. And so every team beat 2 others. And that's really cool because
parity in the league, right?
Yeah, they were all pretty close. Actually, Top Deck Keep did go 1-4, but everyone else went at least 2-3. So
Top Deck Keep really got some making up to do here.
Some conflicts a couple weeks and had to take some L's because of that, and so they're looking to bounce back to prove that they could stay in it as well.
In Division 2, the division I'm in, right off the top we have SEAL Team Lotus. Some notables there. Joshua, I always struggle with this one. Kihi?
We'll go with it.
Good enough.
Yeah, Joshua got a top 8 in Orlando calling, and he did pretty well in Indy as well.
Yeah, I remember seeing his name all over the Orlando calling. Definitely a very skilled player there. And then Jacob Baugh, who top 8'd Indy, correct?
Yes, he was in the top 8 in Indy, and let's see, he also top 8'd U.S. Nationals as well.
Oh, did he? Okay. Wow, that's so a very accomplished player already then.
Their captain is T, and I got to know T this season. He went to 2 or 3 of the pro quests that I went to. He's a couple hours from me, and so yeah, they were really excited to get in the league, and they were well deserving of a Division 2 spot.
Definitely some good names. Tebow on there, obviously. Avilio, Baldespino there.
That's a previous Magic team that came over.
Mm-hmm.
Next for Div 2, we've got Indy Arsenal, and some notable names right off the bat. Michael Hamilton, 2-time calling champion, back-to-back calling champion.
Who's that guy? Michael Hamilton.
The only player to ever win 2 callings.
Yeah, top of the ELO board. Number 1 player in the world right now.
Yeah, so captained by Michael Treon. They were really excited to get in the league and prove that they're not just a one-man team, that they can compete. These guys are from Indianapolis. So not only did Michael win a calling, he won it in his hometown, which is pretty exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these guys are all his locals and are ready to show that they can all play too.
On the D2, moving on to the D2 division, we have Team West Coast Best Coast, which has a couple notable players. I think prime is going to be Yuki Lee Bender, Canadian national champion.
Yes.
I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And on top of that, we have Isaac Jensen, who top-8'd U.S. Nationals. Oliver Chen.
That was also a top 8 of Canadian nationals.
And some guy named Adam Philipchuk.
The next team on the D2 roster is the Oakenolds. They're an European team based out of Germany and the Netherlands, I believe.
Central Europe. Is the Oakenolds. And yeah, they have some. We don't recognize their names just because they're from Europe, but they have Christian Hawk, who won German nationals, and Emmanuel Gershenson, who won Austria's nationals. And so, yeah, they have some. They're trying to prove that Europe has a game as well, and I think they have a well-built team to do that.
Well, I want to tell Christian Hawk's story quickly here, because Christian Hawk not only won German nationals. Christian Hawk only started playing Flesh and Blood, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before the XP cutoff for German nationals, and
oh wow,
and so he's an X. I don't want to say X. I know he's an MPL player, possibly still playing on the MPL, and he just last minute was like, you know what? This Flesh and Blood thing looks cool. I'm going to grind and get into nationals. And in the matter of just a couple of weeks, managed to make the XP cutoff and went to win the whole thing. So,
the casual $4,000 that weekend, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Christian Hawk is a beast amongst men, as far as we can tell. Next, we've got Team Galaxy Gaming. And we actually, fun enough, just had Chris Ray, their captain, on
Galaxy Gaming, friends of the channel.
Exactly, yeah. And they had one of their first matches just tonight. I was watching it earlier in the evening. I think they had actually a back-to-back tonight. I didn't catch the results of the second one, but Calvin ended up taking the win on it was a Prism Mirror. But yeah, Galaxy Gaming, Chris Ray, their captain, they're based out of Florida, and they've got a stacked group of guys as well. I think pretty much everyone on the team, I can't remember if it's everyone or if there's like 1 or 2 that didn't quite make it, but like for the most part, they're all going to Jersey. And they none of them managed to top 8, but they had a really strong showing at Indy as well, as far as I know. I know all of them made day 2, and
they have 3 ProQuest wins among them. So, and most of them in Florida. That's pretty good. Yeah,
because Florida is just an epicenter of strong strong.
Well, Tanner was 7-0 going into day 2, so
That's right.
He was on Viscera too, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping I'm excited to see what they'll do this year. It's almost a shame they're in the same div as us, because I want to cheer for them. But
good thing that 2 teams can move up. So
perfect. So we'll just aim for us and them in 1 and 2, and we'll all move up. And if you hear that, Chris, that's our plan. You and us, first and second place.
Split the finals.
Yeah, split the finals, exactly. Is this the last for Div? This is the last for Div 2. Team Blue Pitch.
Yeah, Blue Pitch is a team out of Hong Kong. They work closely with the card guys. We haven't heard of many of their players just because they're in Hong Kong, but 4 of their players top 8'd their Hong Kong nationals. They have their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place Hong Kong nationals, plus another guy who lost in the top 8. And so this is basically just Hong Kong's all-stars.
Oh, wow.
And you said they have ties with the card guys?
Yeah. So they play a lot with the card guys. The card guys recently did a battle with them, like a blitz battle with them.
Yeah. Yeah, they did, didn't they? These are the guys that wipe the floor with the card guys, huh?
Yeah. So they're looking to put Hong Kong on the map. So I'm expecting
I watched that event. That's very exciting. And that is the last D2 team. So we're gonna round it off with the D3 teams. And we are going to start with Team Separatist Union.
Yes, I want to start off Division 3 by saying, like, these are not necessarily the teams that are in the bottom of the league. Like I said, we had about 17 teams apply this season to be in the league, and I can only accept 12 of them. So they, off the bat, they beat out at least 5 other teams. But also we had to seed them in Division 2 and Division 3, just based on, mainly it was based on recent history, how they performed on the international scene. And so there could be teams in this division that are Division 1 quality that we just don't know about yet. And so that's the really exciting thing going into this division, is that it's just like, it's a wild card. Like we have no idea what to expect from a lot of these teams because they haven't made as big of a name for themselves as other teams have. And so Team Separatist Union is coming out of Canada, Eastern Canada. They are a bunch of former veterans in the trading card game space. They have not put up many results because they have not played for very long. But they've been a team for 5 years together, and they've won 2 ProQuests this season. And almost top 8'd in the Orlando Calling, but these guys have a long history with the Hyperloops. They've been playing against them in other card games, and so they come from Star Wars Destiny. Which
I was gonna say, I think their big Hyperloops I know are Star Wars guys.
Yeah, so they played the Hyperloops from Star Wars Destiny, and so they wanted to come over and beat the Hyperloops again. So they're trying to work their way up so they can play the Hyperloops again. So that's an underdog team to look out for.
Excellent. A potential rivalry in the making as well.
Exactly. They have to get up there, though.
Yep. They got some work to do. And hey, you know what? A good showing by them and maybe a poor showing by the Hyperloops puts them right in line to collide in the following season. Moving on to the next team, we have Team Invaders. What can you tell me about Team Invaders?
Yeah, so Team Invaders, they are a new up-and-coming team. They are out of Indonesia. They don't have a whole lot of quality finishes just because they haven't had a nationals. Because
it's been tough to get high-level competition over there.
Their best player is Gian Arnandi. He recently won their Pro Quest in Indonesia. I believe they only had a couple Pro Quests. They
Mm-hmm.
also have a couple skirmish winners as well. And so we took a chance on these guys just because we wanted to see more representation from other countries. But also, I mean, we want to give them a chance to compete with other teams and to put themselves
Mm-hmm.
out there. So we really don't know what these guys are going to do, and we are excited to have them in the league. And so the cool thing about the league is that it gives teams an opportunity to make themselves known. Right now, they are currently 1-1 in week one, beating one of the guys from one of the teams coming up. They're playing the Greek team, and so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the really opportunity there to gain some clout.
yep.
And speaking of clout, the next
Whoa!
team, the next team that we're talking about is the Clout Chasers. This is a team that we know a little about, Adam and I, because these are members of our playtest group. But we have Frank Hung. I believe every one of these guys has actually won a Pro Quest this season, excepting Max Thomas. I'm sorry, Max. But I believe everyone has. Maxim Villanueva is a prolific Canadian player that also recently won his Pro Quest. I believe.
I've been playing against Max ever since I started playing the game, and so
I feel like that's something that everyone seems to have in common.
Can
is
confirm.
that everyone's played with Max for as long as they've been playing Flesh and Blood.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the cool thing about this league is that you get to know the guys that you play with over the course of the year. And so yeah, they've won multiple Pro Quests, day 2 top 24 of Nationals events, and so this is another team that's looking to make a name out of themselves in this division. And so I see them as one of the favorites in Division 3 to win Division 3. So
I believe so. That is a lot of there is a lot of ProQuest wins in that stable right there. So I think we can attest to what they are doing and the potential that they have there. And perhaps they might be one of the unofficial teams unofficially sponsored by the Combat Chain. Moving on to we're gonna start rounding the bend here on the home stretch. We have Team Darkside Games. Tyler, what can you tell me about Team Darkside?
Darkside Games is another up and coming team, and it's led by Peter Budenseek. This team is local to Las Vegas.
Oh, Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
Fun story about Peter. I met Peter when I was in Vegas at a local game store there. I landed on the Thursday and I was like, what do I do with myself? And I did a little bit of Googling and found out that there was a local game store running events, and I ended up playing some sealed deck with Peter and pulled a Bracers, actually. It was WTR sealed deck. And at the time, it was Peter's. So where this is significant, it was Peter's packs. And I was like, man, I just pulled a Bracers from your packs. Like, what can I do? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, I'll make it up to you at some point. And I never got the chance to make it up to him. So that Peter has always sat in the back of my mind as like, oh, I gotta find like some. I remember seeing him. Was it calling? Or no, it was at U.S. Nationals. Peter actually had a decent showing. Was on stream a bit, and I was like, hey, I know I'm going to cross paths again with Peter at some point. Whenever I do, I need to have something to be like, hey, man, do you remember that time when? And just have, I don't know, a little token to make it up to him or something like that. That alone makes, now I know, knowing that about Team Darkside Games, that makes me excited to see what these guys are going to do. Peter's a great player.
Peter is a great player. He's done really well in his tournaments. And so he's actually the number 8 ranked player, limited ELO. And so and he gets that from performing well in ELO events. He's top 4 a lot of callings. Also have Chris Higashi, who top 8'd some of the old pro quests last year that were attached to calling events, and did well at U.S. Nationals as well. And so, again, another team, a theme of these Division 3 teams are teams that haven't had a ton of success team-wide, but have had some individual success and are looking to make a name for themselves with their team.
Excellent. And next up, we have Fab Chaos. I believe this is the Greek team.
Yes, these guys are from Greece. So pretty cool to have a division of teams that are from literally all over the world. These are just this is Greek's all-star team. They have 3 of the top 4 guys from their Greek nationals, as well as another guy who top 8'd, and their 5th player beat them all at a pro quest. And so all these guys have been playing with each other for a while. They're good friends, and they're the best out of Greece, and so they're looking to put Greece on the map with their team.
Excellent. And last but not least, we have the Tavern Brawlers, friends of several members of Team Kitchen Fable, and friends of the channel as well. We have some notable members. Obviously, Lee is the is kind of the manager of that of the team there. He's the one that does most of the streaming. They just added Alec Mercer onto the team. You see both of those guys both streaming a lot of the Brawlers events. Tavern Brawlers are prolific event holders, constantly holding online constructed tournaments. I'm in fact competing in their CC Armory League as we speak, 4-1. Going into round 6 of Swiss here. Eric Ogar Baumgard is just recently won his Pro Quest in his home state. They are very similar to Kitchen Fable. I believe they're very decentralized. I think they're all over the United States and beyond. Joe Bay, Crimson Mist on Discord just made the grind of the century in the last couple of weeks. Here, getting into every Armory event that he could get his hands on in order to qualify for the Pro Tour. He was outside. I believe he was in the top 200, worked his way up to very close to the top 100, and in the very last week of eligibility participated in as many armories as it took, but he ended up just at the cutoff date somewhere, I believe in the top 20 90-day XP, but he went from not in it to in it to get his Pro Tour invite at the last second. There is a lot of and obviously Jupiter is the host of the Pub Brews podcast and a prolific player in his own right, but they are definitely they are known in the community. Happy to see them on the competing as a team in the league, and definitely I think fits the bill of a up and coming team looking to get a name for themselves against some of this top tier talent.
Yeah, these guys are probably one of the team that does a lot of content creation. They've been in the game for a while. Mm-hmm. They even have a guy who finished top 8 at one of the New Jersey calling in 2019. So that was before COVID. And so yeah, their players have been pretty experienced. And this is actually a team that we originally had to deny into the league, and then last minute had a team drop saying they couldn't get enough guys together for scheduling to play games, and so we invited them into the league, literally on the deadline to submit rosters like that on Sunday night, and so they're excited to be here. I was sad to have to say no to them originally, but we were able to create space in the league for them, and so they're looking to prove that they deserve to be in the league and that they deserve to stick around. And so I'm excited to see. I thank them for joining the league last minute and getting some guys together, and then they're also planning to stream most of their games as well. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in the league.
Excellent. And I think that rounds out all the teams that are playing in this season. I think that's a diverse group. They said international representation. It looks like it's definitely it's got a recipe for some fun competitive action. I think we're looking forward to seeing as many of these games as we can, and it'll be very interesting to see how they. Your stat tracking throughout the season. I'm sure that there's going to be some analysis as the season goes about how the teams and different heroes are matching up, and how the variety of heroes are lending themselves to the division. See if there's any kind of dark horses that might step up, both in the team way and for Flesh and Blood heroes to step up.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting season. We have 5 calling champions and 5 national champions, and many players who have top 8'd all of those events. And so, this is where you're going to go to find that high level play during the off season. And this is where all the guys who want to continue to grind and continue to see other metas, especially now that we're worldwide, this is the place to go to find all that, to watch all that happen. And so I'm excited to see which teams rise up this season, move up divisions, and then which teams were over ranked. And so there's going to be a lot of drama there. We're in the middle of week 1 right now as we record this, and there are already some results coming in. And so, but I think the general feeling is that all these teams have something to prove, and now they're no longer just individual players trying to top 8 a big event, but they're a team, and they're trying to put their team on the map. And so there's just something about this game that lends itself to the teamwork aspect, and getting together with the guys that you grind with, play with, and then support them in their matches and trying to compete with them. It's pretty special.
Tyler, Broaden, we appreciate you coming on to the program here. Before we leave here, why don't you plug your socials, plug the league, plug anything else that you'd like. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so like we were talking about earlier, Flesh and Blood Competitive Hub, it's on Facebook. I know Facebook isn't the coolest place to go to right now, but it's kind of where we go for Flesh and Blood news and updates. And so get in the Facebook group, be active, post your results from your neck of the woods for major events like ProQuest and Road to Nationals, and just enjoy the content that people are producing. I'm on Team Kitchen Fable, and so we have a YouTube channel, Team Kitchen Fable. We put out competitive content on there, put out deck tags, put out gameplay videos, and gameplay analysis. We'll be streaming some of these Division 1 games for the Team League as well. And so yeah, go check them out. They're a wonderful team to be on as well. And so yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast to kind of promote the league. I'm really excited about this season. We have a lot of potential, a lot of players, a lot of great players, and so I'm excited to see where this goes in the future, and to see what this league can develop. And LSS, I know that you guys are out there. I know that you're watching the league. You've already messaged me about it, but let's figure something out. Let's find a way.
Did they hold up? What did they say? What did they message you about?
Nothing exciting.
All right.
They just know that it's happening, and they're watching it, and they're following along closely to see how it unfolds and see how the community responds to it. And so
that's the stuff we love to hear.
You know what? Yeah. That's super cool though, because my thought already is that if for Flesh and Blood to take off as a big professional competitive endeavor, one thing that's going to need to be established is some sort of league that compares to MPL and Rivals League. And sure. I genuinely think, Tyler, you have taken the first steps in trying to promote something like that, and you are a pioneer in our world. And I really hope that you get to And that is subsequently everyone who participates with you gets to be a part of what could be the inception of our first real sanctioned league.
Yeah, that would ultimately be the goal at the end of the day, is to have something LSS sponsored that we can just, like, the league motto is like it's by the players for the players. Like, the league, like, we're trying to put on this league to help our own social media accounts, but to give players content that they can look at and learn from. And so I don't know, I'm not good at websites or anything, and so I would love to be able to hand it off eventually to people that can just make it something that can be great. But until then, they got me, and we're gonna work as hard as we can to get more teams in the league and to get more eyes on this league and to just build up the community through the league, because that's what it's all about.
Makes me excited for potential prize support in the future if LSS
that's one thing that we don't do is prize support. I did reach out to LSS and they responded to me saying that they cannot offer any, which is fine. I understand they didn't give any reasons, but I understand why. It's because it's not everyone can't join the league, and so not everyone has access to the prize support. So it wouldn't be fair to players who weren't accepted.
They seem to have a tough time with TTS as well.
Sure, yeah, and that's honestly why we don't have prize support. We don't charge anyone anything to be in the league. We don't require deck lists to be submitted. We only require them to tell us what hero they're going to be running, and so teams don't want that right now. They want prizes, but they don't want to submit deck lists. They don't want to give up their deck list for the Pro Tour because they want to be testing their decks. So it's just the fact that there's no prize support and there are 18 teams in the league and 5 more that were not in the league. Like, that's pretty crazy. That just shows you the power of what it's going to become.
Yeah, and that's the power of competition, right? I mean, that's bragging rights mean something in this, and I'm sure, I think this, like you said, this is kind of the inception of something potentially quite big, and to be able to put your name on on the proverbial trophy as the winner of this league in Division 1, I think is gonna carry some weight in the future. So that's that's worth its weight.
Where else are you going to get to play against the likes of Michael Hamilton and Michael Fang and Tyler Horspool and these guys? Like, I might get to play against them. I'll never be able to hit them up. Well, I might be able to, but I'd never be able to play against them normally. Yeah,
absolutely, and it definitely, I'm sure, as the season progresses, we're going to be looking at some of those marquee matchups that we might not have been able to see in person, really wanted to, and now that we have a way to kind of curate some of those matchups, we'll be able to see some of the top players competing against each other, and that's that's huge, right? That's huge.
Last season we got Tyler Horspool versus Sebastian Cavallo, first and second in Vegas, and that was an exciting matchup as well. So
yeah, excellent.
It can happen.
All right, Adam. We do have we got some plugs of our own that we got to do here.
We are announcing our Combat Chain Discord.
Combat Chain.
So if you want a place to hang out, chat with us, chat with some friends of the podcast, this is the place to hang out. It's where you're going to be able to stay current with all Combat Chain announcements, and especially with this season of Team League starting up and the fact that the Combat Chain will be streaming some of those matches. This is a great place to stay current with our streaming schedule as matches go live, because sometimes these matches come together last minute, unfortunately, and we just shoot up for a live stream right away. We'll be posting there first and foremost. We'll be spreading the news elsewhere as well, Twitter and Facebook, and trying to get as much publicity as possible, but this is going to be a great place to get first-hand Combat Chain news. On top of that, we are on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify. You can also catch us on YouTube. If you want to interact with Pat and I elsewhere, you can find us on Twitter. I am at FABTL, and Pat is at Pat Smashgood. And we are also at The Combat Chain. We do also have our Patreon that we're trying to get going. Patreon.com/The Combat Chain. That's if you're able to pitch in $1 or $2, anything helps. And it, for now, just really helps cover our hosting fees and allows us to start focusing on bigger things for the podcast. But we won't paywall anything. That's not what we're about. We're just looking for any little bit of help to help us do what we want to do for all of you. Anything else, Pat?
No, I just looking forward to the Discord. Obviously, we're big Discord guys, so there's going to be opportunity for a lot of interaction from the combat chain to people who want to join, opportunities for some gameplay. I know we're definitely looking to get into we're obviously expanding our scope and visual content on the YouTube channel. Excellent opportunity for friends of the channel to get in and perhaps start record some games with us. Hint, hint, get in there and. We can definitely do some gameplay. You can interact and give some ideas for the podcast. Questions, answers, potential topics, anything that you guys want to be able to discuss with us. That's obviously the avenue that will give you the most direct route to the channel and the podcast. And just looking forward to engaging with everybody more. We're big Discord guys. Happy to have a Combat Chain Discord, and looking forward to spamming all my crap in it.
Well, are we gonna get? We got to get Tyler in on the outro.
Yeah.
Right.
This is becoming our thing now.
All right. So Tyler, I'm gonna say until next week, and then together we're all gonna say we're closing the combat.
Closing the combat chain.
Nice.
Ready?
Okay. Here we go.
All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of episode 14 of the Combat Chain. Until next week, we're
closing the combat chain.